Upstream, are you with me? Under rainbow, curtain in the city, ocean, me down low. Upstream, are you with me? Feeling down low. Upstream, are you with me?
Good afternoon, everyone. BC Richfield here, coming to you live from London on a very special show sponsored by our wonderful partners over at dYdX. So we've got something super exciting coming up for all of you during the show. So you must make sure that you stay tuned, because there's going to be an opportunity for a very, very, very easy win at $500. And a big shout out, obviously, to the fam over at the Bird Nest, as well as our awesome partners dYdX for putting this together. Rose Chandler, I'm grateful for the opportunity, which I'm sure everyone is, the chance to win $500. Exactly, my friend. And thank you so much for your humble comment. It is something, that can be life-changing for some people. For other people, it's really, really nice. I know that there's a lot of squeeze going on financially for everyone at the moment. So, $500 is an awesome prize to have. So a big shout out and a big thank you to our partners at dYdX. You need to stay tuned for this. And then basically during this show, we are going to announce it. Guys, can you just bear with me for 1 minute? Apologies, we just need to go and let the gas man on site so that he can turn our heating back on. Woo, sorry about that, legends, but it's all good news. The site that we're on here with the office has had some gas issues we came into this morning. So they've come to turn that back on while everyone's sat here in a rather chilly London at the moment with coats on. So that's all good. But as I was saying, we've got a really exciting show coming up with the massive giveaway for you all. So please do stay tuned. So let's say another couple of good mornings. Craigie boy, hello. Great to see you in as well. Daniel, hello, boss. Good to see you with us as well. The other Daniel, how are you doing, mate? Miguel, Robert, Nick, some real legends in with us already. So at around about halfway through the show, we're going to have a really exciting announcement for you with our partners dYdX. Until then, and then slightly after that, we're going to be looking at the markets. All right. So if you do have any particular pairs that you would like us to take a look at, we are going to make time for that at the end of the show. For now, though, we are going to start with Bitcoin. All right. So what we've done here is I've actually just stripped everything away from the chart. So I thought, look, we've got a brand new week. We're heading in. We're halfway through the month of February. So let's strip away all the noise and let's just take a look at every asset with a naked chart And from there, we're going to build our assessment of what our plan is for the week moving forward. All right. Nick, hello, mate. Oluyemi David, hello. Roman as well. Hey, everyone. And for everybody else as well, I'm sorry if I don't get to see your comments either. Coming a little bit too quickly. I don't always get the ones come through to the terminal here that are on Twitter, but please do keep the comments going. You know, share if you hit the like button. If you're liking the content, please do. It really does help the algorithm on YouTube. So what have we got here? Well, quite simply, if we zoom out, what we can see just in varying levels is how price moves from periods of consolidation, whether that be, you know, longer or shorter periods like this one, to expansion, right? Now, obviously, that doesn't have to just work on the way up. Be nice if it did, but we can also see a similar kind of situation in around here with consolidations that then lead to distribution lower. Okay, so one of the things that we want to consider at the moment is just to zoom out and give ourselves that higher time frame context. All right, so at the moment for me, there's no real panic here. It's just the price is really ranging around. Now, one of the things I like to do is kind of focus on these upside wicks and the downside wicks, look at where the key areas of absorption are. So if I'm looking at this, focusing on trying to get as many of the wicks in as I can, right, without violating the bodies, then what I can see here are a couple of really clean areas, right? Lows, highs. So what are we doing? Like any range at the moment, look how price is pinging between the highs and the lows. You move this out to a daily and you can see it even clearer. Now, the other thing that we've got here as well, in and around this area, we've got a midline, all right, like any range. So what do? We look for deviations of the range low, price to get back in the range, we trade it to the midline, wait for the midline to be reclaimed, and then we trade it to the highs. Until this breaks down the mean reversion nature of range trading, which incidentally price does a lot more than it trends. You know, most people think that price spends most of its time trending. That's simply not true. You're looking at kind of, I think, you know, you call me on this, but it's in and around the high 60s to 70%, I believe, of time that price is ranging rather than trending. So what does that mean? Well, it means a few things. One, and this comes into trading so much, it's about patience and preparation, all right? Because what are these consolidations meant to do? It's meant to get people, and they come in, they long this, and they go, oh, we're going to moon, you know, price is in a nice uptrend now. What happens? People get taken out. All right, then people start to get bearish. People then start to short this market. The market pumps and takes them out. Those people then become bullish, too late, and they get taken out the other way. The whole point of this is to just exasperate and just completely frustrate people until people go, this is a scam, this is over, it's not going to happen. And then what do we get from there? Price does something like this. All right. Now, it depends on what time frame you're trading on. I think what we're going to do is we're going to kind of focus and looking at opportunities here. So we'll keep ourselves looking at the higher time frame here. But for me, the good long opportunities come from down here at the moment, and good shorting opportunities come from up here. What we want to see is price have a strong breakout of this kind of area here, and then use this as a base. Yeah, then we can kind of look for these patterns to get involved. Obviously, on a lower time frame, we wouldn't be waiting for that on the daily. But what we want to see is price give us an indication that it's ready to go. Okay, so if we're looking down here at ranges, for example. Okay, this is a very small example, but we would look at this on a lower time frame, right? When price kind of gets into these consolidations, you can often get these kind of fake out moves. Price steps back into the range, getting people bearish before then it kind of moves and goes higher. So there's a lot of different ways that we can look at this, all right? There's every chance that, you know, how many times people thought that these were the breakouts here of these highs. But actually, if you kind of just look back, you're focusing here on the wicks. Look, these are key rejection points, right? Price is coming up here, it failed to get acceptance, and ultimately is then basically in a state of flux, looking at where we get acceptance of a level. So people don't consider this a good investment here. So price then comes back to the last level where the buyers were happy to accumulate. So at the moment, what the market's telling us is that the low kind of 90K area here, yeah, I mean, you know, when this wicks down here into the 89s, I think some people got some really good buyers on that, right? So this area here is considered decent value for Bitcoin, right? But at the moment, not really knowing whether the market's going to continue its way up or whether we're going to really start to break down, buying in and around the middle is very, very difficult. All right. So, no, definitely not over yet, Robin. I completely agree. But at the same time, we need to understand the levels that we want to buy at. You know, we can start being buyers here, but the difference is it's as we then look to play this into our risk to reward, right? So, you know, if you're a buyer here and you're looking to then say, okay, well, a sensible place to start to look to get out of this position would be around here. Well, then, you know, you're looking at a 1.68 risk to reward here. However, for example, if you manage to get your buyers in down here, stop below the lows here, all of a sudden that same trade has got you a 6.9 risk to reward. All right. So that's what we want to be looking at now. Yeah, sorry to hear about that, Hank. I think BTC got me liquidated. Yeah, I think, look, a lot of people have been through that, right? I think most traders on their journey have done it as well as investors. And the ultimate thing is that one of the most important things that we used to you know, that people don't really want to hear because it's not the sexy side of trading, is looking at risk management, right? You know, because it's very, very easy to get caught up in the motion, to get caught up in the hype. Everything's bullish, people are going crazy, the bull runs back, yes, alt season, all of these kind of buzzwords that you're hearing. And then people kind of throw themselves into position with probably a little bit too much leverage. You know, in these markets, you can make really, really great headway with spot. Ultimately, one of the key things, especially when we're in conditions like this, is that you're staying alive and that you've got, you know, dry powder to deploy when you need to deploy it. All right. So not to kind of be harsh on you in any way there, Hank. I think it's amazing that you're sharing that with everyone. And like I say, it's something that I think pretty much everybody here has been through, especially if you've got even a hint of true degen in you, right? But what we try and do here is take the news, take the catalysts that are affecting the market, then break them down and look at ways we can overlay technical levels to just really kind of help us out. So if we're not sweeping lows and we're not sweeping highs, you know, then what we're looking for here is some kind of catalyst that would then allow us to trade this on a lower time frame. One of the things that I'm always interested in here is looking at what price is currently doing, right? So if I'm looking for what's capping the market, all right, that means I want to know what's stopping the market moving higher, yeah, and what's stopping the market moving lower. Now, on a weekly scale, we can see this. This is capping the upside. This is capping the low. So this creates kind of our pseudo range. Now, yes, we can kind of pinpoint this and make it more accurate. This is just kind of visually to give us that representation. So if we're looking to do the same thing here on the daily, then for me, this really large up close candle here, when price closed below this, right, price closed below this here, we see rejection, 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 rejection. Price is now kind of sitting under here and then kind of looking to move down. One of the other interesting things here that we've seen is not really the cleanest kind of range in this level, right? Because if you look at this, price came up. What did we do here? We changed the state of delivery here, right? So what did we have? We had this up close candle again, and this was a little bit of confirmation when we closed below here that price was looking to move lower. However, what ultimately happened was price just took out the liquidity from the lows, then actually moved above, right? Changing the state of delivery again to bullish. What happened there? Price drew down, just purely took the liquidity above this high before climbing back in the range. What we need to do is we need to kind of decant this information into a plan. And if something's not clear, then it's just simply not clear. We don't have to find a narrative on this time frame. So for me, you know, if I'm looking across the line here, what's capping the lows is this swing low, right? So look, deviations of these, price stepping in, moving to the highs. So what are we looking at here? Like we were on the weekly at the moment, we're just kind of ping-ponging around at these levels. And again, the whole point of this is to get people frustrated. So for me, if we're looking at any consolidation, then what we're looking for is a clean breakout, a retest of this area, and then price ready to move higher. So what I'm actually looking for here is that catalyst move to the upside on the daily is for price to start closing above some of these down close candles, these bearish candles, right? Setting an order block, giving us a base that price can then look to move above. In a different way, if we're looking at this across the line here, and these wicks are quite high, but I mean, if we kind of look and highlight this area, looks very similar to what we did on the daily scale, especially if we're looking to play this on lower time frames, you know, a really strong breakout here. And by strong breakout, what do I mean? I mean, I'm looking for that candle that moves higher, right? And then we get a full body close above this area. Why? Because I'd be looking at the same really for the lows here as well, right? Because we just kind of try and get in the key levels here. Well, quite simply, if price can't really wick below these, if you start seeing full body candles closing in below here, chances are price needs to find liquidity lower down, right? Needs to find that lower value for price. All right, the same way as if we get this breakout, we can see these key swing points higher. What they will do is they will aim to draw price higher. All right, so that's the really key thing. Just to remember, just a reminder for you, which has been put on by the wonderful technical team in the background. Please do stick around. We've got a huge giveaway announcement coming up soon, really not long from now. We're going to cover some charts, we're going to focus on Bitcoin, look at ETH. Then we should have the really nice announcement coming up for you from our partners dYdX. And then at the end of the show, we're going to announce the winner. So there's going to be a really short time frame here. You guys can get involved very quickly and also find out who's going to get that $500 at the end of the show. So yeah, I think really good points here from people. Michael, agreed, proper risk management. One can make it, especially with Bitcoin plays. And look, people always think they're too late to things, right? So there's always that kind of fear of missing out, that FOMO, right, that people talk about so much. And you know what, if you look at this year after year after year, you know, you look at people that have accumulated Bitcoin over time, massively outperforming the market. Now, I'm not saying, you know, because it's very timeline dependent. If you look at Michael Saylor, for example, MicroStrategy or Strategy, I think they just rebranded themselves to, and you look at his conviction, where does that come from? You know, what does it mean? Well, it means that he's got his timeline sorted out. It means that he understands the technology, the impact, the implication that Bitcoin can have in the long term. So what he's saying is, look, I'm not buying all this Bitcoin right now at the very top, above 100K, because I'm then just going to weak hand it and flush it out if we drop down to 80 or 70. It means that when someone like Saylor is looking at these charts, he's not looking at it like this. What he's looking at is, you know, here was the consolidation period, you know, here was the big expansion, right? Yes, then we went back down into here, fine. So what is he doing? I believe he was accumulating here, here, right? You know, we could go on and on just looking at these accumulation points, but, you know, people like that, they're not looking, like a lot of major funds are doing as well, right? They're not investing in these assets to just flip for a quick buck. Some will, of course, but others will have a much longer time horizon, right? One that looks a little bit something like this. Right now, I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to follow that exact path. That's just a bit of a random diagram. But you know, when Bitcoin was trading down here, people said that it would never get, you know, above a few $1,000s. Right? I remember watching this. I remember still one of the best analysts, in my opinion, in the space, Tone Vays. I remember on his show when he was calling for that pullback. You know, I think to like $1,800 or something at the time, and people were absolutely chastising him, saying he was mad. And we got that, and then those same people weren't reloading. Tone was one of the first people on there, you know, talking about, right, adding to the bags here, adding to my positions. I know Adrian, CryptoBird was exactly the same. They had that conviction because they believe in the technology. They understand, you know, their investment horizon. So one of the key things you've got to do is you need to ask yourself that. What's your investment horizon? Are you buying this now to sit on this? And, you know, for example, look, no offense to this, and I'm an investor in this as well, right? So I have a really reasonably sized bag of this Altcoin, right? Great. You know, all the other soul memes that we were playing, you know, am I putting that in my investment portfolio expecting that to be here in 5-10 years? I'm not, right? Now, that's no offense to them and the team, and people that understand that landscape better than I do will look at that and think, you know what, mate, actually, you're wrong there. It could be around. Well, that's fine. Then that's your time horizon. You want to be accumulating as much as you can. So any asset that you think has the opportunity to really go long term. So what we're looking at here is saying, do we think Bitcoin is going to be that digital asset that's going to change the world? Well, it already has to some respects. We now have ETFs. You now have major investment companies. You have central banks, governments, people starting to adopt this in a big way, right? So for me, that changes the game a lot. But it also changes the lower time frame games. Yeah, it also changes how we approach things on an intraday basis, how we approach it on a monthly and a yearly basis, right? Because, you know, everybody talking about alt season and wanting Bitcoin dominance to drop and looking at the total charts going up, that's fine. But we need to know where the capital's sat at the moment, right? So when we finish this, one of the things we're going to look at quickly before we move on to Ethereum and then our amazing dYdX giveaway is we need to, understand where we are, what the current economic climate is, and if that's one that's going to support risk. Okay, so I had the pleasure of being on Crypto Town Hall last week, and there were some amazing analysts on there really looking at this from a macroeconomic perspective, and saying, like, with the fiscal debt in the United States, what we're looking at is almost certainly some kind of quantitative easing, QE, coming in the near future, right? Or certainly in the future. Now, what does that mean? That means the money printers go on. That means that, that flush of capital that comes into the market is normally very, very kind for risk markets. That's when you can see these really, really kind of big impacts on technology stocks, risk markets, indexes like the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, for example. And then we can cross-check that with, okay, how interesting are the bond markets looking at the moment? If I'm a major investment entity, right? If I'm a hedge fund, if I'm that kind of, institutional entity that's looking to invest a lot of money in something, if I can get 5% just buying American debt, which is what the bonds are, you look at the 2 and the 10 years, then that's a pretty attractive, safe haven there. The dollar, another safe haven that we look to. So we look for weakness across those markets to just kind of look at when it makes a lot more sense for these major players to kind of, branch out into those riskier assets and try and get those returns. The other thing that's really interesting as well that we were discussing on that is the idea that, banks, investments, hedge funds, they're selling these products to clients, right? So very few of these products they can sell at a premium, where because of the super normal returns that you can get in cryptocurrency, as well as risk, obviously, that's something they can sell to their client base at a great premium. So for me, overall, the market still looks really healthy. It really looks like it's still there to adopt the risk bid. But at the moment, I'm mainly kind of in spot looking to play these, or I'm just simply trading the market on an intraday basis, just scalping. All right, so before we just move, we will take a look. We'll pop this on the daily quickly, and then we're going to look at the 4 hour as well to see if there's any other areas we can get involved a little bit lower. All right, so let me just check through back some of the comments. Got some amazing comments from you all in here, so don't want to miss them at all. Craigie boy, yeah, exactly. The Gensler weekend last year was a really, really bad one for me. Again, absolutely, and identifying and pinpointing those levels and understanding, was it a really random news event that kind of took you out? Were you overexposed? What was it you were doing wrong? But this is what the most important thing is for me, still here and still going, right? You've got to have that grittiness in this, you've got to have that, because the moment that you want to give up, we have a saying in the UK, it's sod's law, right? The moment you want to give up, the moment you think it's all a scam, sod's law kicks in and bang, the market starts to rip, all right? Stephen, ain't no joke when it comes to PTC players, not for the weak, I have to say. Yeah, exactly. I think crypto in general, right? Because there's so much noise in the space. Stephen Harry, you're not late at all, my friend. No, a few minutes left to go yet before we do the giveaway announcement, all right? Jeff, thank you very much, my friend. Grivaldo, do Ondo, yeah, sure. We're going to make some time after we do the announcement. So if you do have any, please do let me know. What else have we got? Love BCC and love giveaways. Love that, Mitchell. Absolutely. Who doesn't love a giveaway, right? Lovely. Samuel, straight into the words right out of my mouth. All right. So fantastic. All right. Let's just have a look, see if we've got them all on there. Deepak, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Pure facts. Yeah, well, hopefully, Robert, trying to paint the pictures, we can only do it on the information that we've got, right? That's the whole point of price action. I know a lot of people sit there and they're like, people say price action predicts the future, blah, blah, blah. It's not about predicting the future. It's about taking all the information, decanting that down and adding some technical factors to it. And then when you look at those technical factors, you can then really refine them into a plan, right? Like, for example, we look at the lows here. So if we wanted to short these lows, or if we wanted to, short the highs, or if we wanted to long the lows, well, what would that look like? If you move down to an execution-based time frame, it's pretty clear to see that when you start shifting structure in these areas, low, taken out with displacement, gap entry, short down to the lows. Whatever it is that you're doing for entries, right? You might be somebody that's looking for market structure shifts. So what do you want to see here? Well, you want to see lows taken out, right? So you can see down here, these lows have been swept. What have we got here? Here's the highs here, right? This is the move that we led down into there. So all of a sudden you start closing above here. This is somewhere you can look to get involved in the market, or you can look to pull back to gaps. Yeah. What happened down here? Similar kind of thing. We get the close above here. This one doesn't work out. Price takes down that secondary sweep. But lo and behold, if you wait and you're patient, price then reacts here, and then it's about taking that secondary entry, right? Like we did up here. Yeah. Price starts to break down, you lose the structure, and then you're shorting the market. Up, down, up, down. Now, what we're doing is, just as you think you got this figured out, right, and you get the move to the lows, price is now really making people think. But one thing I would say in any market is you really want to kind of look at structure. So for me here, I'm happy to buy this on the lower time frame and almost look at this as a speculative scalp that can develop into something longer. But actually, we don't have any kind of structural shift here. There's an internal high here. That's the high that led to this move lower, that led to react here. That's basically the top of the range. So now what's happening is price has kind of set itself into this consolidation. And ultimately what happens with the consolidations is that they start to really, really chop people up. So to trade these, we need to move to lower time frames, all right? And then apply the same principles on a lower time frame that we would on a higher time frame, okay? So when we're looking at this, let's imagine that these are our weekly levels, yeah? Except they're not, they're our daily levels. So what are we looking at here? Well, you're looking at the same things. Are you getting a breakdown in structure in this area? Yes, you are. Are you getting a break of structure in this area? Yes, you are. All right. So again, I don't think this one would have been a winner, but then when you come back down into here, this is where you're looking for your opportunities. If you're trading the extremes of any range, then you stand a much higher chance of success. All right. So we've got a couple of minutes. I'm not suggesting you ram down onto the kind of 15-minute chart, by the way. I think, looking at this here, if we're looking at, a 4-hour scale, then I really like this move up over here. Yeah, we took out some lows over here, right? What do we have? And then over here, that's where we have the structural break, yeah, because we've set the higher low, higher high. So what am I looking at here? Well, I'm just saying to myself, I now want to look to see levels in here that, gain interest for me. For example, sweeps or reclaims of this low. Yeah, why is that important? Well, there's going to be liquidity below this low, right? So if I see this sweat and then I see price close back above this level, then what do we get? Then we've got a situation where this could be our deviation. We'll always think of SC's voice whenever I hear that. And then, we step back in, and that's where we get our long opportunities from. All right. So we've got, or maybe just over a minute. Yeah, Mike, the second entry would have been a banger. And I know exactly which one you're talking about there as well. But look, one of the key things here that people say to me all the time is, they'll go through testing and they start getting really frustrated, looking at these options that they have, and then bang, bang, bang. And then all of a sudden they kind of get a little bit, within themselves, and then they kind of think, oh, okay, I got stopped out on that first entry. I'm not gonna take that second entry. And it's like, well, look, if you think it's right to be long from here, if that's where you're seeing these play out and short from here, then if you get stopped out on the first attempt, if you sweep that again, then you're still in an area that you favor longs. If, however, you really break down, you lose this area, and then you look for the, a good close below, and you start to build some structure down here, then by all means look to kind of short these levels, all right? But ultimately, if you're looking as a buyer down here, don't be put off because you get stopped out of a trade. Always have that risk to reward with the plan, all right? So it is now indeed time for our dYdX giveaway. And this is really, really good of the team over there. I have to just say very quickly that I had the wonderful opportunity to be part of their show that was over our Congress, all right? So with that, I just absolutely fell in love with these guys. The way that they spoke, their mind, their, how they're kind of approaching this market, what they want to build. They really, really take all of their customer base into consideration, right? So without further ado, what is this all about? Now, I'm going to show you the dYdX Megavol, all right? Now, all you need to do, there's $500 up for grabs, right? But just need you to make sure that you follow along properly, all right? Now, the key for this is it's 12:30 UTC, all right? So from 30 minutes from now, so wherever you are in the world, 30 minutes from now, 29 minutes from now, in fact, at 1300 UTC, I need you to guess what the TVL of the megavolt is going to be. So what is at the moment? 51,786,379 So what do I really nice APR on that at the moment, by the way. But anyway, in 30 minutes from now, yeah, I need you to guess what that number is going to be. Now, here's the kicker. You only have 5 minutes to make your guess. And the guess that you make has to be posted in a comment, right, within the YouTube link. All right, so I have just popped that on the screen for you. You can go onto the Bird Nest Twitter page, for example. You can find it shared also on mine, but I would definitely go to the Bird Nest official one. You can see on there, make sure you are on that link, and then all you need to do is put your guess in the comments. So do you think that it's going to be 90 million, for example? Do you think that it's going to be 50 million? Is it going to go down? Do you think it's going to be a little bit higher than this, a lot higher than this? You know, all you need to do is comment the value of the TVL, all right? And we pop it on here for you, as you can see. Yeah, so just as it is, it needs to just be the number. No emojis, no extra additions, no please pick me's, because this all goes into a custom design and secure generator that will pick the winner. It's the only way we can make sure it's fair. So unfortunately, if you don't, you know, just put the number in, then, you know, the system isn't going to pick it up. So you don't need a $sign. You don't need any denominations other than the number itself. So at the moment, it would be, you would go in the comments, you would type in 51786,498. Yeah, if that was your guess. I'm just reading out what's currently on the screen. Yeah. Now remember, you've only got a couple of minutes now until this is going to close. So if you are listening to my voice right now, then please, please, please get on to that link. It has to be on the X or Twitter link, which has been shared in the comments. All right. We've got the link here for you all once again. Find that or pop yourself very quickly onto the Bird Nest Twitter and you will find that post. Pop it in the comment, just the number. Yeah, just the number on its own. Maybe the kind of eagle-eyed amongst you might have been paying a little bit of attention to what the figures have been doing while I've been rattling on, or maybe I've been distracting you. Apologies for that. You've got a couple of minutes left, but if you look at the fluctuations, try and portray that forward, or sorry, try and kind of play that forward and work out what it's going to be at 1300 UTC. When I start to close up the show, we're going to have a winner selected. I'm going to announce the winner on that show. We've got 1 minute left, guys, all right, to get you involved. Please don't miss out on this. Might just be your lucky day. $500 will be yours. We are going to announce the winner in probably about 30 minutes from now. But you only have another minute to enter. So your guess, just the number, no $sign, no emoji, nothing else. You just need to comment on that post that's shared on the screen, and then with your guess at what the TVL is going to be in the megavolt in 26 minutes time. All right, that's 1300 UTC. 1 more minute to go. I'm going to keep this up on the screen just for another minute. Then we're going to get back to our analysis. We're going to finish off with Bitcoin. We're going to jump into Ethereum. We're going to look at some alts. I think one of our kind patrons asked for Ondo, so we're going to look at that. If you guys have any others, please do let me know and we'll take a look at those as well. Right, just a few seconds left now, guys, and then this is coming down off the screen and we are going to be closed. So if you haven't done it yet, get yourself onto the Bird Nest Twitter page, find the link through that has been shared for this webinar. It's the one that's in the comments. It's the one that's on the screen at the moment. And in that comment, put your guess for what the TVL of the dYdX Megavolt is going to be in 25 minutes time. That's 1300 UTC. You need to guess what that number is now. And we are going to close this down in about 10 to 15 seconds from now. So get over as quickly as you can. Remember, just the figure, just the number, no $sign, no emojis, nothing. Okay, there we go, legends. I think that is about time for that one. So I hope you guys managed to get involved in that. Like I say, we're going to announce the winner live in about 30 minutes from now. So super, super excited for that. Really hope your luck is in. So Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin is just ranging around in here. All right. We're not going to look too much at the lower time frames. What we want to focus on here is, look, this is a really, really good level to buy, in my opinion. Would I also be happy to buy lower? Absolutely. Where do I think we could go if we go low, or we have this massive inefficiency here? The weekly gap that's down at this level. If we looked at the CME chart, we've got the CME gap that's down around about here as well. Price could easily still purge out the bottom of this and go lower. Do I think it's going to? I don't know. I really don't know. You know, at the moment, this level's held. So who am I to say things are going to go down here? And while this level's held, why am I to say things are going up here? This thing could range for a year in here. It's incredibly unlikely that it does, but all things are possible. All we can do is identify the key areas to be buyers and sellers. Now, one of the other things that this plays heavily into is while Bitcoin is ranging, quite often we see those nice little pops on alts, right? And I know we haven't seen that. Seb, you're very welcome, mate. Very best of luck to you, and very best of luck to all of you as well. Like I said, we will be announcing the winner at the end of the show. So as we've got this here, we've got this beautiful range. Now, we haven't seen these all seasons, you know, people talking about it. You know, it's like the kind of heartbreak club. People sat there like, oh, God, you know, the alt seasons back in the day were just amazing. Not to in any way criticize those people. I'm in a lot of ways one of those people. I know a lot of very good analysts that are as well, but it's like kind of saying like, oh God, you know, if we just caught the beginning of the internet, or why didn't I buy Apple stock back in the day? Now I understand that we've had these really booming alt seasons. You know, I've been through four bull markets just with cryptocurrency. I've seen this happen. I've seen the glories that the previous alt seasons bring, and I know this one isn't similar. But I don't think people should have expected this one to be similar, I have to say. And then again, this is just an opinion. This isn't taking anything away from people that did. But for me, we need to look at the real world impacts of this. We can start to get in a little bit of a microcosm with crypto, right? Where we sit there and everything's crypto. Well, ultimately, what you're looking for is you're looking at mass adoption in the way that ETFs have come onto the scene. You're looking at, you know, not just Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies making their way onto the balance sheets of some of the biggest funds in the world, making their way, you know, paving their way, central banks opening, you know, to offer these as products to their customers. And I mean, it's just the landscape is so very different from what we have. The first pro-crypto president in Donald Trump, you know, you've got Elon Musk. You know, love him or hate the guy, he's obviously incredibly bright and very good for technology. But, you know, he's in the White House now as well. So as everybody is in there. Carlos, hello, mate. Good to see you. So there's a lot of different factors that go in, and that obviously does affect the market. Now, you know, I can be called cynical at sometimes. You know, the markets for me are hugely about manipulation, trying to catch people on the wrong side, trying to get the masses to go in one direction, while the minority of, you know, of the people that have, first of all, the understanding of the markets, but secondly, the capital to do so, can catch those people offside and move the markets the other way. For example, that's why we see so many of these beautiful swing failure patterns, right? So swing failure pattern is just where you're looking at a low or a high, price coming into that level. And then if price was going to move down from here, you'll see this, you know, diagram on many charts, right? You look for a breakdown, a retest of this area, price sells off. It is a simple premise, but it's also a very true one. Ultimately, when price does something like this is getting people bearish, right? We've come off of a higher, to a lower high. Price now looking to move lower. People start to really look to short this market, creates an absolute ton of liquidity here that, you know, people can then buy and then really start to move the market higher. Okay, so the cynic in me, if you want to call it that, or the type of trader that I am, is looking at these levels and saying, look, if the market really wants lower here, it's really struggled to get it. Price has just really kind of held up around here. So ultimately, I'm happy to be a buyer at these levels still. But I now want to see how this kind of plays into the alt scene, because we've seen a couple pop off. I know this market's very highly narrative driven at the moment as well. Really do think there's still a lot of room for AI agents to do well as good AI projects. But let's have a little look here. 1 second, let me just check this. Perfect. So just got confirmation that all of the comments are in. So thank you very much for everybody that participated. They're all being collated now, and they are going to go into the system that our wonderful back-end technology team have built. So everything's clear, fair, and transparent. A winner's going to be selected from those, and then that's going to be announced by me at the end of the show. All right. Bear in mind, we need to obviously wait now until we get that actual figure at 1300 UTC. Then we're going to find the winner, and that will be announced, and $500 will be yours. So Bitcoin ranging, what's popping off in terms of alts? One thing we want to take a look at the moment is Bitcoin dominance. All right. So as we covered this here, this was last week, this was the 9th of February, we opened up. We're looking for this kind of initial change in delivery, right? So what does that mean? It just means that when we're looking at the markets moving up, for example, then what we want to see here are the down close candles. Yeah. So the bearish candles, when they're closed above, forgive the wonkiness of the line. Yeah. When these are closed above, you want to see these areas hold. Yeah. And then when that's closed above, you notice this area holds, little one here, little one here. Basically, these down close candles become order blocks. Yeah. So again, you're looking at, this is the move down, buyers stepping in here, price moving up. So these areas should be defended. In the same vein, when we're moving down in the market, we look for the up close candles, yeah, to keep price suppressed lower until we get that initial move in the opposite direction, that change in delivery or change in state of delivery, yeah, or the first kind of initial move. And what we get here quite often is there's the change in delivery or the setting of the order block. Yeah, those down close candles. What do we then get? We then get a big expansion higher. Perfect. In that expansion, we get this inefficiency. Yeah, we get this gap. Why is that important? Well, these are called, price, the buying. If you want to think of it, it's, look, it's the easiest way to conceptualize this is that the buying was so strong here that the orders were struggling to pair, meaning that you don't get these efficient market moves when you see the candle bodies and wicks cross over. What happens is you get this gapping because the market's moved up too quickly. These often present really good opportunities to get involved in the market because the market likes to be efficient. So that's the best way to think of it. So as price draws down into this area here, what are you doing? You're inducing people to short here. So you're generating liquidity, you're rebalancing an inefficiency in the market, buyers step in again and price moves higher, okay? As we then move higher, what do we look for? So we're looking for the continuation of the down close candles to support price higher, which we can see is happening here. Then we get this one, down close candle. Okay, what happens here? Price moves up, then this one fails us. Then we get the move in the opposite direction, right? So now we're looking for bearish moves. So the up close candle, price is closed below this. What do we get? We get the gap, but this one's a bearish gap. This is struggling for order pairing on the way down, creating a bearish inefficiency. The market draws up into this to retest the order block, yeah, and get confirmation in the gap, and then price sells off lower, okay? Now, obviously, we're not trading the Bitcoin dominance chart, but we can read it in exactly the same way. Often, nice to keep things simple. One of the real acronyms that I always try to follow is KISS, right? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Something that I was taught told many times, right? So when we were here, this was the change in state of delivery we were looking for. Price closed below here. So moving through that week and into now, we're now saying, okay, with Bitcoin dominance moving down, we're starting to see a little bit of a move up here in the total charts, all right? So now as we look at this, we're saying the same thing, except for these, we're looking for that bullish resurgence. So what have we got in here? Now, first of all, a little caveat for you is I really don't like these small body candles. I will pay attention to them because, ultimately, what do we have? This little doji candle here was the initial change in state of delivery, right? Then again, we've got this one here now as well. What's that doing? Well, that's holding the market up here as well. What we would need to see for price to be heading the other way, yeah, is for these up close candles to get closed below, because the down close candles are currently supporting price. Now, we've had a very, very marginal close below this, right? So I'm just going to get rid of this bullish one, meaning that here we can see how price just closed below this up close candle. Now, what we're looking for here is for invalidation. So I now want to see these down close candles closed above, Yeah. Otherwise, if price breaks down and we close below this level here, I do think the price is moving lower here in the total chart. Now, ultimately, we're looking the same through here. This is something we've obviously had on the charts for a while. You know, we had this nice drive down now. Again, we had that initial change in state of delivery here and here, and this one's really holding here. So we're just looking for these bases to hold and then for price to kind of move up from there. Sebstar, I watched Voidzilla's fascinating video with Hayden about the Argentina Libra token launch disaster over the weekend. Yeah, do you know what? I need to get more into that. The fundamental team have been talking about that this morning, and you know, we've really kind of looked at that. We actually have our analyst meeting this evening, so I'll have the whole team together in full strength, and we're definitely going to look closer at that. It's very, very very interesting one there. At the moment, there's so much in the space. There's still enough capital flowing around. There's so many kind of scammy things going off. It's, you know, like with anything, very difficult to strip away all the noise. The person that can strip away the noise and then focus, like, you know, on taking that information, say you've got a fundamental driver, say you've got kind of like, you know, a news-based driver, then to get into the charts and find your system and say to yourself, where am I a buyer here? Where am I a seller, right? Where do I want to be involved in these markets, and how am I going to be involved in these markets? Right? That's the key thing, whilst ignoring, you know, 100,000 people calling for continuation of the bull market, 100,000 people saying it's going to be a bear market, 100,000 people saying everything's a scam, the SEC are going to step in, blah, blah, blah. You know, news is one of the best manipulators in the world, right? It always has been. And what do I think of props? Real world assets, small cap, bought much higher above and recently at the lows, up 25%. Nice. Well, let's take a look, see if we can find some information on that one. Guys, by the way, if you do have any other questions, please do let me know. So now we've got this resurgence here, and this is why I've been saying I think certain select alts, again, you know, looking at my traditional market background, looking at this, what would I be doing from an investment perspective? What would I be doing if I was running a fund? Well, I'd be telling the team to go and find quality assets. Now that sounds really obvious, but you know what you want here is a flight to quality. The things that are going to pick up first, the things that have the best chance of longevity and success, are going to be those high quality projects. What suits the narrative? Who's got the best team behind them? Why should they be looking to launch? What other projects are they involved in? Ecosystems? Do they have, you know, that real world integration, for example? So we are going to look at some of those. So bearing in mind that we've been talking about a little bit of prosperity here for alts, it was really nice to see ETH kick off in such style this morning. So let's take a look at that, and let's give our thought process on a nice clean chart. So out to the weekly. Why do I like ETH here, and why did we like ETH? And our dear Razoon, who is, I know, kicking about in the background somewhere, will tell you that we were waiting for this damn sweep on ETH for what felt like a lifetime. This low, this low, this low, and then we just left this failure swing down below this one, and also this one, right? They can stay there for a very long time, right? The key thing for me here is that we really took out some key liquidity. Trendline liquidity, anybody that ever studied ICT, you know, I know that's very popular at the moment. I was fortunate actually to study Michael's you know, will be part of his very first core mentorship, right? So I understand it, really good understanding of price action concepts, not so much on the same page that there's this central interbank algorithm that kind of controls everything, but I know algorithms do really control the market. So what we're looking for are those kind of price action signatures and where it makes sense for price to run. So for me, I'm always looking at the market in terms of liquidity, all right? So we've got them, yeah. Liquidity pools like this, when they run and you see these strong reactions, they can be a really good opportunity. So this long downside wick as well is showing just some serious buying stepping in here. So on a weekly scale, all I'm looking for next is saying, okay, if price is moving higher, where's it moving to? So for me, you know, price is either looking to attack liquidity below old lows or old highs. We're either reacting at a point of supply or demand, so our order blocks. But mostly price is looking to attack old highs, old lows, or react at a gap. So now, if, you know, the buying pressure here is too strong, then price needs that next clear and obvious point of interest at where it's going to react. So for me, this is the gap that I'm looking for price to draw towards here on ETH. So again, what does that look like? Well, if we move down here now to a daily scale, quite simply, I want to see price sweeping and holding lows. We can leave that green actually because it's a good example of how price came down. We've swept out the lows, now we're moving to the highs. One thing we do need to be careful of is that this is an inside bar pattern here, and we've actually left equal highs above this. So this is going to be a very, very tempting liquidity pool. So what do I want to see? Well, once again, if we've got those sweeps of the lows, then I want to see these high probability order blocks being set. Why is it high probability? It's high probability because it's come after price has swept liquidity. Yeah. So price swept liquidity from the lows down here. Yeah. Now we've had price close above, shows me that liquidity has been taken from one side, and now the chances are higher that we move to the other. Raz, I hate ETH full stop, I know. Raz and I were fortunately obviously part of the same trading team over at the Bird Nest, and we're waiting for so long. ETH just so often doesn't take those kind of key swing points, and on the higher time frames especially. I know Raz and I were looking at very, very similar range play, waiting for ETH to kind of take that low as we both kind of sat back and watched it just kind of leave the station without us. Thankfully, we deployed capital into other assets off the back of that, but there's a lot of time waiting for ETH to come and take that low. So let's have a look. Hope I'll be included too. Yeah, hopefully. So Walter, as long as you made it in before the cutoff, my friend, you will be involved. Just you want to make sure that you've commented that on the Twitter post. All right, Carlos, my friend. Yeah, of course we can. The QNT, perfect. Actually, it gives us three nice ones to dive into. We're going to do Ondo props and QNT. All right, so let's take a look, shall we, at what's on there. What did you think about this market in the next 3 months? Dan, crypto. Okay, really, really interesting point. So for me, I very rarely kind of make these longer term projections. For me, I still think, we see a resurgence in this bull market. I think it makes sense that for major institutional investors to be involved in these markets, they're not going to be involved in ETH up here above, like 4K or in those kind of regions. Much prefer to be buying these things down here. So look, retailer buying areas like this, yeah. Institutional investors, smart money, however you want to look at it, are buying areas like this. Yeah. Why? Because they understand that this is a good value bet. Because if you're wrong here, then you cut and you've taken your loss, right? Or you're holding this and you're willing to buy lower. The problem that you've got up here is where's your real kind of risk? The market can easily do this, right? So if you're a buyer up here, where are you putting your stop loss here? Under these lows, then you get taken out only to see the market bounce, or here, or realistically here, which is the low that's set to the move after we had the consolidation in here, right? So I think that's the difference sometimes with these markets, is understanding and having the conviction to buy when there's blood in the water and to sell when there's euphoria in the air. All right. No, join us, Hugger Bear. Brilliant. No, I'm absolutely not saying I don't think ETH will go over 4K. I just mean that I want to be buying ETH at these levels because I believe it is going to go back above 4K. Yeah. If I've got belief that ETH is going to get back above and set a new all-time high in this cycle, then I want to buy it as low as possible. But one of the difficult things to do sometimes is to buy when everything's really on the way down. People often wait for these pumps for confirmation, buy in up here, and then get taken out. So just for example, price coming into this key level down here, what did we do? Well, we swept out this low. And we also took out this key liquidity pool here of all these kind of relatively equal lows. Now, if I have the conviction to be a buyer here, yeah, for example, you see the wick come down, price closes back above this level, you put your stop loss on the base of the wick, you're entering on this candle, you're targeting higher up. However, fine, the trade doesn't work out, but I'm already over 2R up at this point. I can mitigate, I can take some profit, I can move my stop loss to entry. So, so that I mitigate my risk, or I can lessen my stop loss, for example. And after you take some profit, fine. Maybe you walk away just a little bit up. Maybe you walk away break even. But there's a really, really big difference to doing something like that and understanding those levels than what happens. We have our structure shift here. Price breaks away up to here. And again, not criticizing this as a point. But then if you're ending up buying here, your risk is below there. You can't do anything when price then gets to there. You're 0.3R up and price comes back and takes you out. So depends what your system is. For me at the moment, I'm looking mainly to, accumulate good alts. All right. I have added to my Bitcoin holdings and my Ethereum holdings ETH from probably round about, well, actually, I'll tell you exactly where it was, around these lows, okay? So I didn't get everything filled, but I got a really nice bit added. And for me, you know, that's fine. I'm happy to buy these pullbacks, and I really do think that we'll start to move higher. However, I need to also be prepared if we don't, right? That's the kind of caveat to this, which it always is. So I could sell at the drop. So now I'm 18% in loss. Civica and bank close. So no, it's not too comfy to think on more liquidity grabs down at 2K. Yeah, no, I think then it's time to wait, right? Again, as long as you're not exposing yourself to what you can't afford to expose yourself to. I know that's talking in hindsight. If you already have, then you're kind of in the position that you're in. But for me, you know, there were certain, tokens that I was buying relatively similar, like up in around these areas that I haven't sold. But I've added more down here. I'm dollar cost averaging. I'm bringing my average buying price down. You know, whether I bought some down here or not, even if this was new to me here, I'm holding at the moment through that drawdown. Why am I holding through that drawdown? Because I think that for me, price could come back and maybe take out these lows. But, you know, if we're kind of zooming out here and we're looking around for kind of a pivot point, then first of all, I quite like this level here. Right, I think we can see here that we had a key point of resistance when we broke above this area held and led to a huge pump here. When we broke down here, we were resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. Price is back above this, holding this area here once, twice. You know, maybe it's a little bit taller than this. Maybe that is the third engagement with it here. But either way, that's okay for me. I think we start losing this area and breaking down. I'm looking for these lows here. And, you know, at that point, you're saying to yourself, okay, are we really still in a bull market here? Ultimately, at the moment, I have the conviction that I think price is going to move higher. I think it's a very tricky market to read at the moment, but I do agree that for me, if I'm exposed to this, then I'm waiting this out at the minute, okay? But I do think this is the next key level here for ETH. This is our weekly gap. I think price is looking to move up to here. One thing I would say, though, is just going to be a little bit cautious. We're moving into these equal highs. We want to see price either come above them, come back, test into this order block here. All right, so do something like this, take the liquidity above these highs, hold this area, then continue to move up. From here, what you want to see is price show strength, especially around the midline of this weekly gap, and just hold this structure, okay, and move higher. And that's exactly what I'm looking for there on ETH. We don't really need to move much lower on that. We've only got a few minutes till the announcement, so I'm just going to cover Ondo quickly, props and QNT. So focusing on this here on the daily chart, once again, kind of similar. I think slight concern for me here on Ondo is if we lose this low, yeah, then the next real key liquidity is below this week, which is a long way lower. If I want to look at this from a point of confirmation, I want to see price above these down close candles here, holding this as an order block, and then looking to drive price a little bit higher. If I was getting a little bit down here, then let's take a look and say, okay, well, this is quite nice here on the 4 hour. For an early recovery, we've had a sweep of these lows. This would also bring us a structural change. Yeah, so something like this could be a way to get in a little bit earlier while we wait for that higher time frame confirmation. Let's take a look. Props, what have we got here on spot? Wow. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's really nicely up off the lows set. That's got a really, really strong bounce on it, which is, again, look, we look at our key levels, you mark out our key levels. This should have really had you interested here when we saw this nice reaction and this pin bar candle. Now, don't get me wrong, this has been a real kind of rocket ship, but if we think this thing's going to pull back, then we just need to look at our areas. Where's price gunning for? Remember, we're looking at this now. We're looking at this gap over here, right? That's where we can go on to there. So announcement is going to be in 1 minute. So we've got the script going on. So just very quickly, that's why I'll be looking at props, pull back to this area to get involved. If not, looks like a good reaction. QNT, let's just have a very quick look at this one. So QNT at the moment, again, kind of looks okay. We want this to be the liquidity sweep. This is the reaction at this daily gap over here. We've had this kind of initial internal shift. So as long as we continue to hold these down close candles like here, here, and here, that's what I'm looking for. This is the high that's capping the market at the moment. We want to really be aware of that. Okay, that's at 98.175, all right? So a little reaction here, pull back to this level, and then I think we can keep moving higher. If we start closing below these up close candles, however, I think there's some real key liquidity resting a little bit lower here for QMT. Right, so let me ping us back across to the Megavol. We are going to look, it's 1300 on the dot. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are very, very shortly going to announce our winner. 51,784,046 right at the moment. So the winning number, as we can see on the screen here, was 51,786,201. So now we have got the number generator that is going around, and we are going to announce the winner very, very shortly. All right, guys. So do take a look at the number you posted. If that's the number that you did post, happy days. You can be in with a very, very good chance of winning. If you haven't, bad luck. You know, obviously very tricky to do it, but we will take a look and let you all know in a moment. I'm sure there will be the opportunity for others to move in. So Walter, unfortunately, we can only take the entries that were made on the Twitter account. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a winner. So can somebody please tell me, as we've got over here, who has the handle dPKBIWAL? If you are here with us, please do pop a comment in the chat if you can. Let us know that you're here. And then what we'd like you to do is just to drop a DM, so a private message on Twitter to the Burb Nest account, which is where you posted your estimation, which was absolutely spot on. And then one of the team will be in touch with you to organize your winning. Love that, Craigie boy. Great. Absolutely love to see that. Great sportsmanship there. Really big love to everybody that was involved. Apologies if you didn't win. If you are dPKBIWAL, then please do let me know. If you can pop something in the comments. Hopefully I see your comment here. If not, please do make sure that you are reaching out to us at the Burb Nest official Twitter account, and from there we will make sure that you are sent your $500. And a really, really huge thank you to our partners over at dYdX. They're such a wonderful company full of really, really bright, humble people. They wanted to do something really nice for everyone. I know people here, people are getting chopped up in these market conditions. They just wanted to do something a little bit fun, a little bit nice for you all, as did we over at the Burb Nest. Hopefully it just added a little bit of fun to this today. But look, just want to end the show at the moment, and thank you, Craig, and for everybody else as well for your wonderful comments and your input throughout the show. I will be back with you live again on Wednesday, okay? So don't miss out on that one. And I'm sure that we can speak to the legends over at dYdX and get another one of these put together soon. So please do let us know in the comments if you want another one of these. The more that you comment, the more that you like, the more that you come at us and say, please, guys, do another one of these. Comment on dYdX. Say, guys, come on, loved what you did with the Burb Nest. Let's have another one. We all want that opportunity to win a little bit more. All right. So again, if you are the handle at dPKBIWAL, yeah, then that would be great. Please do pop that on there, and Walter White will absolutely make sure to get you one of those as soon as we can. All right, legends, thank you all so much. And Alex, thank you, my friend. Really, really appreciate that. Do smash the likes if you enjoyed the show, guys. Going to be live with you again on Wednesday at 1200 UTC. Huge shout out again to our wonderful partners over at dYdX and all of you. If you want any more information on us, our partners, how you can join, how you can be part of this, you can find everything down in the description. If you can't, then please don't hesitate to reach out and we'll be there to hook you up. Have a fantastic week ahead, everyone.